Hey, good Sunday midday. It's about 11:38 right now. Wanted to bring you an update on our chance for some strong storms later on today. If you're joining us now from wherever, let me know in the comments where you're watching from and any questions you may have as we watch the threat for some of these storms move on. And already now Springfield getting some of that heavier rain with that initial line, that cold front starting to sneak on through. It is slow moving though. It will take some time for it to push on through the area, and that's still going to give some of us here locally at least the chance, we think, for a couple of strong storms. Nothing active, no warnings, no watches right now. We're talking more about the threat that's heading into this afternoon and our latest thoughts on that. So as you're logging on, remember, download the WCIA3 weather app. That will be a place you can get weather alerts sent to you wherever you may be. You can program to follow your current location. Whether you drive to the store or you head to your friend's house the next county over, it will follow you and give you alerts for those areas. Other things to note too, the full forecast details as well, always on WCIA.com/weather, and that's on the WCIA3 news and weather apps. There's two apps. There's the news app, and then there's the weather app. That weather app is the one that gives you weather alerts, but you can get other weather information on the news app as well. So go ahead and download both of those. It's raining in Springfield here. We'll talk about our current conditions and the trends we're seeing, and then talk about our threat for the next several hours here. Springfield right now is seeing seeing a good bit of rain into the region, and we see that temperature in Springfield probably going to fall here as we move on through a little bit. We'll see here temperature 73, that wind out of the south. It's another breezy day ahead of this cold front, 32 miles an hour. As that front moves on through, that will turn to the north and west here into the region. Looks like Springfield's update now down to 67. Where these 60s are here, the front is somewhat in this area. In fact, that's where the more stable areas. We haven't had a lot of rain, though, in areas generally from Champaign, Decatur, and Taylorville to the south and east. And that's where the more unstable air mass lies here. Mid, even upper 70s. Danville popped up to 77 here just before lunchtime. It's 73 in Mattoon, 76 in Effingham. So we're going to watch that area, I think, in particular. Jacksonville, probably not going to deal with anything. And I think even Springfield, Lincoln, Bloomington, and Pontiac, in the next couple of hours, the threat there really going to be over for that chance. Here's that wind. You can see here it's mainly out of the south. It starts to turn more to the west as that front rolls on through. Once that cold front comes through, your chance is over for the day. And that front's sitting somewhere now from Springfield up to Pontiac along Interstate 55. 41-mile-an-hour gust in Champaign, 40-mile-an-hour gust in Danville. We've got a 39-mile-an-hour gust in Paris. Those wind gusts will continue to be between 35 and 45 miles an hour through the day today. This is a look at dew points. We said yesterday we thought the dew points would come up by this morning, and they have. And that's going to be one of the sources of instability here. Usually in the winter time, dew points aren't usually helpful, but now we're getting into our classic spring months here, April and May, and when our dew points start getting close to the mid-60s, we really got to watch out here and keep an eye on that. Dew point is 64 in Champaign, 65 in Decatur. That south wind continues to bring in moisture into the region, and so already in Jacksonville, seeing signs that that dew point is starting to fall behind the front. In the meantime, storm tracker Doppler right now, not a lot to look at. Some scattered showers out there. You can see where that general line band is here along I-55 from Pontiac, and then some rain now from Lincoln towards Springfield. We look here in Champaign-Urbana, not a whole lot going on. In fact, as we look ahead of these showers and storms here, notice that there's actually, and let me go ahead and pause it here, there's some breaks in the clouds that are starting to show up. That will help bring more instability into the region. On a day like today, sunshine is a storm's best friend, and that will add some instability. And we do have a couple of early storms starting to fire up here from Springfield down towards Carlinville. I think the severe threat's still low with these, but we'll monitor them. Our prime time probably comes later into the afternoon and evening hours, so you're more in the timing for that. And so, you know, really, I think if you're behind this line here, Jacksonville, Beardstown, probably even Petersburg at this point, and within the next hour or two, that line will be now Lincoln, Bloomington, and Pontiac. I think behind that, you'll be okay then for the day once they roll on through. Do want to mention, we'll watch in particular this storm down by Carlinville. It's not much to look at, but it has a little bit of a shape to it that catches my eye here. And as I take a look here as we drop the lightning, and it's rolling up to Carlinville now. There's been some signs of maybe some very weak rotation in there. You can kind of see that little S shape. It's not a lot to look at, but if it can tap into instability, maybe in the next hour or two, that might be a chance for a storm to go here to the region. Again, Not much to look at, but certainly still worth monitoring. And I look at it from another radar, and you can see where it's trying to feed a little bit. But we'll see how much instability it's able to tap in today. So overall, that severe threat is low. We look at our threat impacts here. Tornado threat, low. Hail threat, even lower than that. If there's any strong storms, probably the biggest threat will come for some strong straight line winds. I couldn't expect some gusts of 60 mile per hour, maybe a little higher than that. And our flooding threat, I've brought that up as well because I think some of the storms this evening into tonight, I think they'll be prolific rain producers and could have rainfall rates up to 1 inch an hour. And that could add some pretty quick totals into areas. We'll probably see our highest totals in the I-70 corridor up to 1 to 2 inches. Latest from the Storm Prediction Center, they're the lead scientists, the big guns out in Oklahoma who monitor severe weather across the country. They did send us a notice saying a weather watch possible in our area here over the next couple of hours. Unsure if it would be a tornado or a severe thunderstorm watch. They're watching trends just like we are here, and so we'll wait for them for official word on any weather watch. If that comes out, you'll get that right away on your WCI3 weather app. It'll tell you whether it's a tornado or a severe thunderstorm watch. I think at this point, first off, it's possible it happens. Not a guarantee. You know, we may see those trends go a little downward, and that's certainly on the table. But if we see what we're seeing continue with some sunshine breaking on through, that could trend a little more upwards. And then a coin flip for whether it's a tornado or a severe thunderstorm watch at this point. We take a look at future track here as we approach the lunch hour. Notice 1, 2 o'clock, then we start seeing some of these little cells pop on in, and they should pretty much be east of I-55 from Springfield to Pontiac. We'll keep Macoupin and Montgomery counties in that as well for now. That probably an initial chance for a couple of strong storms there. That batch exits. I'm a little more interested in later on this evening to see what happens, say 3 p.m. till 8 p.m. as prime time, as we get a couple of these stronger storms that roll through generally areas, again, along and south of Interstate 72-74 from Springfield, Decatur, Champaign over towards Danville, and they'll fill on in here, carrying off to the east. My thought process at this point is the I-57 corridor from Champaign to Effingham might have the best chance for some of those stronger storms, but also, too, there will be some heavier rain that mixes in with those. By 10 o'clock, it's out of here. That severe threat done. In fact, by 8 p.m., a lot of us already out of the threat for that. We'll just watch those areas along and east of I-57 through 10 o'clock, where areas to the west will trail away with due time, and we'll keep you updated on who's clear from the severe weather for the day. Again, I think at this point Jacksonville is a safe bet, and maybe in an hour or two we'll give the I-55 corridor from Springfield, Lincoln, Pontiac, and Bloomington. That all clear as well. Now, we'll mention tomorrow morning, still some showers rolling on through, so just a couple of hours of some light rainfall may give us some decent rain totals here in the region. I'll show you those in a minute. This is the latest from the Storm Prediction Center. That yellow stripe right through our viewing area is a slight risk, a level 2 out of 5. That's a standard risk. We get these all the time, but we still treat them with the respect that they deserve. And you can see here, it's pretty much Danville, Champaign, Watseka, Paris, Mattoon, Charleston, Decatur, Taylorville, Effingham, in the best chance for some strong storms. That level 1 risk does go to the I-55 corridor, but you can see here, just to the west of that, there's essentially no risk for severe storms. As that cold front continues to come on through, then we'll clear areas to the west. The next update from them, I think, comes out at around 2:30 or 3:30. Here's the latest on the tornado risk. Still a 3 on a scale of 1 to 10, and that means a tornado or two certainly possible. Not a major risk, but we'll have to watch. And for us back here in the studio, that means we'll babysit things for you and keep a close eye on it as we see that 3 out of 10 pretty much for everywhere. That's got the chance for strong storms south and east of I-55, adding Macoupin and Montgomery counties into that. So the threat pretty standard for the tornadoes area wide here. The wind threat probably picks up a little bit more from Champaign to Effingham, maybe back towards Shelbyville, Taylorville, and then off to the east towards the Indiana state line. And maybe we can get some gusts of 55 to 65 mile per hour winds. Hail threat, very low here. We're at the lowest in that. I can't rule it out. If there was a chance for maybe quarter or larger hail, maybe the I-70 corridor might have the chance to get larger than quarters, maybe $0.50, but that's very isolated. I'm not too worried about the hail threat today. Certainly some possible up to dime or quarter in areas that do get some of those stronger storms. Other thing too, again, that rainfall risk, this is from the Weather Prediction Center. They've put us in a slight risk for heavy rainfall, and that means there could be some flash flooding out there as we see those rain chances continuing here. Want to show you those rainfall totals real fast. There will be some areas who from this point onward miss out on rain. Jacksonville, probably done. Once this line gets through Springfield, probably done. Lincoln, Bloomington, Pontiac, not much left for you. You've already gotten some this morning. We add on top of that, I think there'll be some areas that see 1 to 2 inches. Not everyone gets that. Certainly some spots will see less than that along Interstate 57. It'll be more spotty in nature where those individual cells can go through. That might be the better chance to get some of that heavier rainfall totals there. So certainly some localized heavy totals of 1 to 2 inches. I think a good median value will be somewhere between a ½ inch and 1 inch, though, in our area. We'll mention real quick before we drop back to the severe weather, after 70s today, we don't get them until maybe next weekend if we're lucky. 50s Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, even some frost possible. You can read about that on the Weather Now article. Watch the Weather Now video. I updated that this morning. If you're interested, you got the green thumb ready to get into the garden. I've got details on that. That is what I have for you. Again, I'll bring up the threat meter. I'm going to go back and answer some questions that there may be. Again, today is a standard day, but we still think it deserves some respect at least. It's not a zero threat, but it's not a major threat. Again, April and May. Never trust storms in late April, May in central Illinois. We'll keep a close eye on it here, and it wouldn't take much to get a tornado or two somewhere in the region. Of course, if that happens, I'll be here. In the studio, we'll have Jack nearby and Kevin also nearby as well, keeping an eye on things, just in case something gets out of hand. I think with a lot of things happening, I know it's folks are in town for U of I and whatnot. We'd rather give you the awareness of what could be, and that way you're prepared rather than caught off guard last second. Because if there's some weather warnings issued, you'll want to know about them. So there's some ways you can do that. WCI3 weather app, the crawl at the bottom of the screen on TV, and of course, if need be, we'll do TV cut-ins and digital platform cut-ins as needed. All right, we're going to go back and look at questions. And this threat, pretty much for everyone here that's in that level 1, level 2 risk, essentially now draw the line I-55 to the Illinois state line and including Indiana. That includes still a large chunk of our area, but you're all essentially in that threat. So if you have a question, and we'll keep an eye on it here. Okay, kind of checking in some of these chats. We got folks checking all over. We really enjoy seeing where you check in from, all over central Illinois. Here's a good comment. Jason saying he is seeing the sun try to break out in Danville. You can see that here at the bottom. That can cause the air to become more unstable. Yeah, in fact, why don't I pop up our cameras? We were selfish and just looked at Springfield, and we'll go look at Danville. See if there's a little more sunshine there, where we haven't gotten much rain here in Champaign-Urbana. Danville points to the south. Oh, that's what I got to do. Here we go. Let me flip that the right one. All right, here comes the Danville camera for you. It's trying. It's doing its best. It definitely looks a little much drier there. Down in Charleston and Mattoon, looks like my Mattoon camera might not be working right now. There's Charleston. A look at the county market from the First Mid-Bank and Trust. I think my Mattoon camera is going to be offline. Yeah, that's offline, so there's an issue with that camera, but that's okay. Effingham, we can use our Effingham camera now to check out things. There's some sunshine trying to break on through, so how much we get will only add more instability and keep things a little more active. And then, of course, here in Champaign-Urbana, we still have some clouds, but I've seen a few peaks try and break on through, and so that's something we're definitely going to monitor. Great comment. Scrolling through more chat, Marius in Cissna Park saying she's had no rain yet, and areas that have gotten rain, your severe threats are lower. So if you had a couple of hours of rain, you're probably okay. If you haven't had any rain, then you may want to just pay attention through the day and have a way to get some weather alerts. Let me pull up the map. I'm seeing some specific questions about what about this town, what about that town. Again, for what we're looking at here, Ford, Iroquois, Champaign, Vermilion, Hyatt, Macon, Moultrie, Douglas, Coles, Edgar, Clark, Cumberland, Shelby, Eastern Christian, Fayette, Effingham, Jasper, and Clark counties have the best chance to see some strong storms. If you live in one of those counties, that you're in the area that has that best chance here. That includes all of Interstate 57 in our viewing area. That'll include Interstate 74 from Farmers City through Champaign-Urbana to the east. It'll include Interstate 72 from Decatur to Champaign, and then it will include Interstate 70 through our entire viewing area as well for the best chance. I-55, Springfield, west of Decatur, towards Bloomington, Lincoln, Pontiac. I can't rule it out, But as that front continues to slowly push on through, your threat again continues to diminish here into the day. I like this comment. Just show more wedding pics. We're going to get nothing but rain. Yeah, the interesting thing is the last time we had a fairly substantial severe threat, there was a lot of really concerning ingredients in the atmosphere, but the rain came on in and essentially kept those ingredients from mixing together. Like when you make cookies, you can put the egg in the bowl and you can put the sugar and the flour in the bowl and have it all sitting there with the chocolate chips, but there was nothing to mix it together, and that rain kept that last time. The good news is this time is there's not nearly as many ingredients in the atmosphere, and so that's a good sign. Still, though, there's enough where we have to watch here, and so we think we'll have the chance for some of these storms here over the next few hours. Looking at a start time, this graphic is going to be a little old. It's going to have the first round, which is essentially done here. We're now in that 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. where it's possible we start watching to see what this initial round tries to do. I think that better chance will be 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. towards the I-57 corridor especially, and even I-70, and then 8 p.m. to 10 p.m., that threat pushing off to the east into Indiana out of our area. So we'll watch. We'll keep an eye on it. If you live east of I-57, you've got a couple of hours, I think. We're really watching the area between I-55 and I-57 now to see what kind of storms pop into the region, and that'll tell us more. It's a babysitting thing now. I wish I had the answers. If I was right 100% of the time, I'd be rich and I wouldn't be working here. But we recognize the ingredients are there for some of these strong storms in parts of our area. Patricia saying, need some corn planting weather this week. I agree. I think the farmers are getting an itch. I'm getting an itch to get my garden in as well. So we'll have some dry time, I think Monday through Thursday. Monday afternoon through Thursday does look dry, albeit cooler in the area. Do we expect more clearing ahead of the front? We really got to watch here if those clouds can hang on. We don't need a bright blue sky for clearing when it comes to that. We're seeing those clouds start to break up enough where the sun can peek on through, and as long as we get some broken clouds out there, there's a high thin layer of cirrus clouds also, but that's not really enough to mute things. So we're seeing some of those breaks pop on in. If we had a lot more breaks, blue sky day, and that wind, I think we'd be in a different situation. This is just kind of riding that fine line from nothing to, we could have at least a few storms into the area. Amy asking if it's safe to travel from Urbana to Danville. Yeah, I don't think today's a day you need to cancel plans necessarily. You can go about and do your thing. I'll never tell you don't do something. I'll have days when I say, hey, you should think about changing your plans. Today's not one of those days. Today's one of those days where I think you should at least have a way to get weather information and be ready. It's one of those thoughts in the back of your mind that you file in and say, hey, today could be some strong storms, but I need to run some errands. I'll keep an eye on radar. I'll use the WCI3 app. I'll have that TV on, channel 3, in case something pops and they're there. That's the kind of day I think it is here. So would rather you just kind of, go around, do your thing, do whatever you need, and then just have a way to check back and know what to do if you go somewhere. Matt Toon, all good, no rain over there. That report coming in from Cameron. Bill asking about that cell. National Weather Service indicated earlier that they're just going to watch it. And I think FutureTrack really is doing a pretty good job here showing that these are, trying to form. It's a very conditional threat because notice here, there's still much more in the way of breaks and clouds here from Danville towards Effingham to the east than there is from, say, St. Louis to Decatur in this area. So if it's able to tap into some instability, we'll have to watch it, but I'm not sure it's going to do that at least for the next little bit. Yes, some rain, some thunder, certainly on the table. I'll just take a peek at the data and we'll see if any hail pops up. It might take a minute to populate that. Let me just zoom out real quick. I don't know if I have a data outage in that. Sometimes it takes a little while to populate. We may not have any hail in there, to be honest. Wind shear sometimes, that seems to be a little touchy these days. But we look here at the base velocity. It's a little cell, and that's what we're going to deal with. It's just these little compact cells, I think, today. This isn't a classic severe weather day by any means, but we watch, and you can see here, you know, a little bit of green, a little bit of red, and it's close. So today might be a day that spotters are able to help as well. Keep an eye on things from the ground as we don't have a whole lot to look at. Okay, so there's St. Louis. St. Louis might be having an issue with their there we go. You know, I think what this is showing is there's some inflow into it. It may not be enough. It's trying on that trajectory. You know, it's a cell worth watching. On that trajectory, it's probably going to ride the west side of Highway 48 up into towards Taylorville over the next hour here. But National Weather Service hasn't said much about it. We continue to watch it. Just a little weak rotation. It's not going to be enough to cause any problems. And then I'm not really seeing much either in the way of that cell northwest of Taylorville on the county line between Taylorville and Springfield. And then there's been some other stuff too. This area, though, certainly is the much better area to watch with stuff coming from St. Louis and I-55 to see how it plays out. So we'll watch it, keep a close eye on it, and see what happens here. And again, I think this too is an initial batch. I think more develops in that 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. time frame, and that will probably be the more likely thing to watch for the next little bit. Okay, that's the question on that one. Sammy asking about the storm tracker. Yeah, we've got it ready to go. I literally have to turn the key and jump in and drive. And we're talking behind the scenes about things here. We'll have a team meeting and decide what we think. And we may just play that very much by ear at this point to see how it shakes out. So, you know, it's not one of those days where we're like, yeah, we got to go to the storm tracker. But it's a day where, you know, we've got everything ready. We're ready just in case we need to. And we think you should be ready to take some action just in case you need to as things go out through the day. All right, that is what I have for you. If you're joining on late, that's okay. This information is still valid. When I end the video, you can go back and rewatch. You can also catch the full forecast updates on WCIA.com/weather and the WCIA3 news and weather apps. I'll mention, too, I hope this is the last time we see each other until tonight at 5:30 and then again at 9 and 10. If that's not the case, we'll be here on digital platforms doing some coverage. We'll also, if needed, for any tornadoes, jump on TV. Hopefully that doesn't happen, but we'll keep an eye on it and let you know regardless. So we're watching. We're babysitting. You know, that's what we do in situations like this, and we'll keep an eye on the radar. So that's what I have for you. If we don't see you before 5:30, we'll see you on TV in the newscast at 5:30, and then again at 9 and 10. But I suspect the chance may be there that we'll have to watch for at least a couple of strong storms here for the next several hours. Stay weather aware. Have a nice day.